Welcome very much to the channel. I'm Esoteric Cloud Surfer, and today I'm going to talk about Sun in Aries for 2026. Drop a like and subscribe, and let's get ready into it. This alignment starts a new sun cycle as the sun is now going back into the first house and back to a sign where it is exalted. This also starts the spring where the world is coming back to life, quote unquote. We have animals coming out of hibernation, a lot of flowers flowering up, the bees are walking around, flying around. We have insane migration patterns coming in. The ice starts to melt in certain areas, and the days are becoming bigger as the sun starts to spend more time in above the horizon. So all of that brings with itself more energy, more life, and more will to experience yourself, your expressions, your actions, and the world that we are living together. So, more desires, more action, and more relation, more interaction with the world and the other beings that live in the world together with you. And like I said, the sun is exalted in Aries, so you can expect some extreme actions, extreme visions, and extreme expressions, especially if you or others are expressing and acting about personal beliefs, personal interests, personal desires, or personal insecurities. And since we're talking about the sun being exalted, we also have to talk about extreme senses of pride or extreme senses of insecurity that come out of those extreme senses of pride. So you can become more defensive, you can become more soft, you can feel defeated, or you can feel extra authoritarian because you might be prideful, you might be content and happy with your pride, so you want to express it more, you want others to see it, you want others to respect it and to be a part of it, sometimes forcibly, or you can feel on the other end, on the negative end of being prideful and being glorified by yourself, and you can become extremely insecure, extremely defensive, or extremely avoiding conflict or interaction in general because you might feel that you don't have enough creativity, uniqueness, or individuality to be valued or to be seen as somebody that deserves attention and that deserves to be recognized as somebody important on a personal or social level. And you can be extremely non confrontational or extremely avoiding relationships or interactions because you or others might see little things as aggression, little things as confrontation. Sometimes people are just expressing their own mind, especially now with Sun in Aries. They're just putting out their own 2 cents about whatever you're talking about, and they might feel they're going against you. They might feel immediately, without second thought, are you changing my way of thinking? Or you're not accepting my vision? Or you are condemning and judging my actions? And that might not be true. Remember, Sun is exalted in Aries, so you might take too far those visions, those perceptions, and those feelings about your own beliefs, your personal insecurities, and your personal desires. On the other hand, you also have to think about that others might feel that from you. You might just be expressing yourself. You might just be, oh, I prefer coconut oil instead of butter for my cooking. And they might take it personally. So with Sun in Aries, you can also get too personal, too involved, and redirect too much to yourself the world's and others' opinions, and that might not be true, and that can also to others as well. They might get too serious, and they might get too personal, and they might think that your opinion is attacking them while you just stating an opinion. Maybe you're just saying, "Oh, on the other day, I did something," and they might think, "Oh, so you're judging me because I didn't do that, right?" So just be careful and just be aware that others might get mad at you or you might get mad at the world just for small misunderstandings. It's very, very likely. But also remember, this is cardinal energy. So it's not fixed or mutable. So also things can heal very quickly and misunderstandings can be cleared very quickly. And it's like men that sometimes men fight with each other, like real physical fight, and then they become best friends. That's totally Sun in Aries energy. So I'm not saying for you to expect fights or arguments, but just little tension and exaltment, even within yourself. things might not happen in real life, they might not happen outside, but you might feel a bit more insecure, a bit more exalted, or you might get really mad at something, but quickly you will calm down and actually extract some appreciation or value out of the thing that you are opposing, or out of the opposition or insecurity itself. And very quickly you can actually create more solid foundations for yourself to express yourself and act on your beliefs, personal insecurities, or personal interests, or you can see where others are coming from a spiritual standpoint, and you actually can be more comprehensive and empathic to others' insecurities, interests, and desires, especially if you or others are not being seen as realistic or sufficient in areas of support or being responsible, and you can see why somebody is perhaps sacrificing reality and stability to chase a dream or to have more space to be themselves. And you can also understand why somebody else might be feeling insecure because they still building their own business, they're still building their own unique routine and pattern, so they might be a bit unstable, they might be a bit shaky, but you see where they're coming from, and even though you might not be on the same space and on the same travel, because you are creating new ways to see as well with Sun in Aries, you can see where they're coming from and where they want to go on a spiritual standpoint. Even if you come into some misunderstandings, some fighting situations, or some clashing heads situation as well, quickly you can also understand the point of the situation. This is a great time to start new beliefs and even new businesses, or just to start new actions and new expressions about your personal business, your personal belief, your personal beliefs, creativity, and spirituality. And not only to start new things, but also to reinforce, bring more passion or more frustration to businesses, routines, and patterns, or expressions that you already have going on, or that you were already associating yourself with and being a part of. And in general, everybody is now paying more attention to their personality, personal insecurities, and personal interests, so you can feel excited or insecure about how you think that others see you, and how about you see others in those realms and areas as well. And also you can react a bit more to actions, expressions, and visions that come from or are going into you, into your personal spaces and personal feelings. So you can also derive or see from others some feelings of shame and nervousness, especially when you are expressing or receiving visions about your personality and about others' personal insecurities, and personal interests. This is a great alignment to also create new ways to express yourself about your personal beliefs, and based on new feelings and new visions of spirituality, creativity, anger, and passion. Also, great alignment to create new ways to see yourself and to see the world, because Aries is cardinal fire, ruled by Mars, so you can create cardinal new ways to see and feel fire. Especially, you can also create new ways to see or be seen about your passion, frustration, aggressiveness, motivation, or desires. So be careful to not bring too much passion or too much frustration to those new visions, because then you can take some visions from yourself or others too far or too extreme into passion or frustration. Balance it out a little bit with some Libra energy to create new ways to think, communicate, and analyze about society and relationships in a bit more cold, logical, and distant way. On the negative side of Sun in Aries, you can feel ashamed or insecure about your beliefs, about your personal life, about you personally, and about your spirituality and creativity, because maybe others don't accept it, maybe you don't accept it, maybe you think it's not realistic or unique enough, but it's okay because this is the start. This is really the start of the year. And keep in mind that now is the best time to come in with new intentions or reinforce intentions. Like when people do around the normal new year, they say, I'm going to the gym. This year I'm changing my life. This year I'm going to be better with money and whatnot. That usually fails because when people celebrate New Year in December, it's not the right time to do that, because that's Capricorn season. That's the start of the end of the year. And right now, this is the start of the year. And Capricorn is more about reality, structure, limits, and boundaries. It's more about calculating and managing stuff way more than creating new stuff, bringing new stuff from the spiritual realm, from the dream realm into reality. Capricorn is more about bringing reality into those realms. So people that have new desires and new ideas around December in the new year, they're actually creating new limitations, new responsibilities to those desires and to those dreams. Now is the perfect opportunity to envision something, to feel something, to have a desire for something, and bring that to reality piece by piece, step by step, by trial and error. Because now we have extreme desire, extreme wanting energy, extreme action to bring those things forward. And it's okay. You don't need to be a gym rat right now. You don't need to become rich right now. This is the starting process. So now go all in your imagination and even on your expression, even to just yourself. But it's up to you now to be your own emperor. In my tarot deck, the emperor card also is related to Aries, because Aries is really you creating your own limits and boundaries, not the world around you, not people around you. You create how far you can go. You create how not far you can go. You know what I'm saying? So you create your own empire, you create your own borders, and then you have to create your own little sisters, your own little cities, your roads, your supply chains, spiritually speaking. So then you create your boundaries, right? And then you create points of interest in different areas, and then you create connections between them. But that will all happen throughout the year. So first you start with the boundaries, and you start with the purpose. What type of nation you want to be? What type of empire you want to be? You want to be based on slavery, innovation, environmental changes, or environmental supporting systems. You want to focus yourself in war, in agriculture, in trading, in diplomacy. All that is metaphorical, but it's easily applicable to real life. You have to take a look at yourself, and if you don't like it, create a new one. Don't fight the old one. I'm going to talk about that later on in the video. Just focus on creating something new and be empathic to your past self, because that doesn't exist anymore. Only you right now carrying past self stuff. So don't be mad at what does not exist anymore. Just focus on what is right now and one on what it can be. You know what I'm saying? And also, because Sun in Aries is opposing Libra, the seventh house, you can feel limited or not valued on your own personal beliefs or your own personality and personal way to do things, because others might not be validating you, because the real world might not be supporting you and saying, yes, that's a great idea, and they're not supposed to. This is now the potential energy. It's a spark, the start. So it's very normal and most likely that others will not understand your new visions, your new desires to be unique and individual, and new ways to achieve that. Because it's up to you to, throughout the year now, to create ways to show them or communicate with them or to bring them to your personal space or to bring your personal space to them through Taurus, through Gemini, through Cancer. So don't expect others to understand you immediately, but if they are already aligning yourselves with the vision, with the purpose, with the intensity, with the uniqueness, spirituality, and creativity, most likely they will be down for the rest of the year. But also, they might then not like how you do it in a real way. They might not like your consistency, your commitment. It might be too much, it might be too little. They might want to do business in different areas. So don't expect everybody or anybody to be a part of your dream. You have to make that happen. You have to make those connections throughout the year, you know what I'm saying? Even to yourself, you know? Because you might see things in a certain way, and then how you do it might change a little bit the feeling and the process. And don't be bad about it. Just create ways to relate your spirit and your vision to your practicality, mind, feelings, and emotions. And at the time of recording, the sun is 2 degrees, while I was writing the script, 1 degree Aries. So we're still transiting from Sun in Pisces. Sun going from the 12th house, the end of winter, into the first house, the start of spring. So that means that we're still carrying on our visions, actions, and expressions mutable water, ruled by Jupiter, co ruled by Neptune, and with Venus exaltation. So we're still bringing a lot of empathic relationship, feeling, and spiritual focus into our actions. Or others want to associate, because of the mutable element, their extreme need or feeling about relationship and connection, or they want you to be empathic to them, or they're just being more empathic to your new expressions, visions, and actions in general. So you and others might be seeing or being seen in more emotional, gullible, and empathic ways, and it's from those perspectives that you and others will create new actions and expressions that come from desire, passion, or frustration. The start of this Aries season is a great time to channel emotional and spiritual energy, perspectives, and concepts that you came up with or witness around you into new visions, expressions, and interests that are more real, stronger, that have more passion, more desire, more aggressiveness, or that are more related to your personal interests and personal insecurities. Now, let's take a look at how Sun in Aries is aligning with the rest of the sky chart. We have Mercury in Pisces, fatal attracting Sun in Aries, bringing more reality and spirituality into thinking, communicating, and analyzing through mutable emotion and faith, with more uniqueness, passion, or aggression, and or bringing more empathy or gullibility to new actions, visions, and expressions about yourself and the world that are themselves more passionate, desireful, and aggressive. Communications can be halted if you or others, the ones that you try to communicate with, don't feel clear or wise enough to talk about spirituality, creativity, or emotional depth or emotional wideness or coverage in general, because Pisces not only goes deep, also goes wide, goes on a 360, on a sphere. But there is a chance to spark new conversations and ideas about that in a more spontaneous and surprisingly more intelligent way, because Sun in Aries also fatal attracting Mars in Pisces, and Mars in Pisces itself conjuncting Mercury in Pisces. So even though you might not be thinking, you might not be expecting you or others to be intelligent or be able enough to speak about spirituality, desires, passions, traumas, dreams, and illusions, for example, because Mars is conjuncting Mercury, you might just have the wisdom on you already on the moment when there is a certain feeling, when there is a certain vibe, when there is a certain desire. You might come up with that in the moment. You might not be super you might not be super diplomatic and super knowledgeable and have all the vocabulary, but you and others might spiritually see where you're coming from, and through certain keywords, so through gestures, through metaphors, you can communicate each other and bring way more understanding and way more spiritual relatability than using all the fancy and correct words, because Mars is bringing that spirit into Mercury communication, that then through the Sun in Aries, sparking, creating new expressions, creating new visions. Maybe because you're being passionate or aggressive, others see exactly where you come from. You might not even need to use words, just or a look, or like, you know, it can communicate everything needs to be communicated. And then after that spark, developing the vocabulary and the words to relate and bring things to a more calm connection. We also have Venus in Aries conjuncting the Sun in Aries. This means bringing more attention and authority to your relationship or places of commitment and pleasure, or the places where we have relationships, pleasure, and commitment are bringing to you or about you more attention and authority. And because of that game, of that all jiggle and jaggle, you might need to learn to do or accept that it's okay to bring authority and attention in a more aggressive, even annoying way, and you might break some elements of the relationship. You might be a bit, or others are learning that towards you, to be a bit also more distasteful, more reckless, not care so much about that person's feeling, because sometimes, for the sake of the relationship, for the sake of the connection, we have to attack certain feelings, certain mindsets, certain spiritual states, because those are deriving some non-realistic, flunked out emotions and feelings, or expectations or perspectives. So with Venus in Aries and Sun in Aries, it's really easy to attack or feel attacked in relationships, business, pleasure, and places of commitment. And that might be good. It might feel bad, but it can be good because, one, if you guys are strong enough to go through the fight, to go through the aggressiveness, and to go through the motivation together, even though you might feel weird, you might feel attacked, you might feel out of place in the relationship, if you're strong enough to go through, it means it's a real one, it's a real relationship. And if they can't handle, if they can't handle it, so they're not the right partner for you. And also it can create new dynamics, new passion. It can rekindle the flame of passion and motivation. And you can also fight at each other with frustration, and you can see better where that comes from. You can understand better, even if not at the moment, the further down the line, where it starts now, you can understand better yours and your partner's frustration. You know what I'm saying? And then from that, you or your partners can slowly but surely, by trial and error, by trying to express and act in new ways or about new things, slightly tingle and taggle the little parts of your relationship and change the relationship dynamics into a more unique, real, spiritual, and creative one. So this basically is like you might need to learn how to express or accept from others new limits and boundaries, even if they come out as aggressive or unrelatable. So Venus in Aries conjuncting Sun in Aries, creating new ways to relate and associate new actions, expressions, and visions that might be too unique, too rash, or not seen as realistic before it actually happens, and show others how real it was. This alignment brings balance to Sun in Aries, because Venus energy is all about relatability, commitment, and pleasure, which tones down a little bit, because the Sun is still exalted in Aries, and it tones down a little bit the recklessness, the intensity, and the Sun exaltation from Sun in Aries. On the other side, Sun in Aries can bring extra energy, unpredictability, and distasteful conversations or relations to areas of vision, of business, areas of business, pleasure, and exchange of values. Real exchange of values, or you exchanging your values in a conversation with somebody else. Might be rough or not pleasurable because you might be forced to deal with people that are places and things that are too much in your face or too much in your ego, or you're the one doing this. Remember, it's Venus. Like Mercury, it goes both ways. So that you or they might be too much in their own ego. But in the end of the day, you can create balance by bringing attention and action to more balanced and fair visions that are still unique and creative in areas of passion, spirituality, reality, from a spiritual standpoint, being a real motherfucker, you know what I mean, and in areas of aggression as well. Because with Venus in Aries, aggression can be seen as love, and love can be seen as aggression. So don't take it as a bad sign, don't take it as a bad thing. Actually, when people are mad about something, when they get aggressive, it's because they care about something or because they have an insecurity that came from a place of care in the first place, or somebody didn't care about them or about their personality and personal interests, so they became aggressive and frustrated. So if in your relationships that shows up, you know that there is a place of care that needs to be reinvented or re-explored on yourself or on your partner. Then Mars in Pisces, fatal attracting Sun in Aries, creating more empathy, emotional openness, and spiritual mutability in areas of passion, creativity, and aggression that can be expressed in new extreme actions, visions, and desires. This alignment totally cools down the exaltation of Sun in Aries because Mars is the ruler of Aries. And not only Mars is in a water sign, it's also on a mutable sign. So water already cools down the fire energy, and mutability spreads the heat out. It's a way to also cool down things, is to spread them, right? You have imagine you baking a cake or something and the dough got too hot. If you spread the dough, it will release heat easier, right? Or if you have like a big hot potato, if you cut it in chunks and separate them, they will cool off easier. So Mars in Pisces, it's really calming down a little bit Sun in Aries, because Sun in Aries listens, quote unquote, more to Mars because it's its ruler. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, Venus is exalted in Pisces, so the opposition of Aries, which is Libra, that is also ruled by Venus, is being more pushed through its owner, quote unquote. So Sun in Aries with Mars in Pisces is really looking more for relatability, understanding, and sharing of the extreme actions, new desires, and new visions. And would Mars be on a cardinal water or fixed water sign, and it would not bring this cooling down effect. It would bring tension and fighting energy if Mars was in Cancer because squaring Aries, and it would bring even more passion, and it would bring even more intensity if it was in Scorpio, fixed water, because it's also ruled by Mars, the internal side of Mars, and that would bring some misunderstandings and misconceptions and miscommunication. Now, in Pisces, it actually brings more empathy, it brings more love, appreciation, dreams, and illusions that can give more purpose, meaning, and real places to attach the new passion, aggression, frustration, motivation, desire, and spirituality through new actions, visions, expressions, or new ways to show and receive love, spirituality, wisdom, or knowledge. On the other side, Sun in Aries can bring new confidence, new insecurities, new intense and unique expressions, and new ways to see the attention that you receive or express in areas of spirituality, creativity, and personal business, especially if you or others have an emotional or spiritual association with said spiritual, creative, or personal matters. Be careful to not create or pay attention in extreme ways to illusions, nightmares, self sabotaging energy, or gullibleness in areas of uniqueness, creativity, and spirituality. Because Pisces energy, Mars being in Pisces, can bring that. Then we have Jupiter in Cancer squaring Sun in Aries, learning how to express, act, and envision in passionate, unique, or lonely ways new expansion, new wisdom, and knowledge from emotional, spiritual, and familiar realms. On the other side of the learning lesson, learning how to expand on comfort, familiarity, and emotional power when seeing, acting, or expressing new interests, insecurities, and desires. The tension and frustration can come from the clash between familiarity and comfort from Cancer, and then it will clash with the newness and recklessness of Aries, that sometimes wants to destroy the sense of familiarity in order to renew itself or in order to find or create new spaces to be itself or to see new things. Now, one of the most relevant alignments of the Sun cycle or the Sun transit through Aries is Saturn in Aries conjuncting Sun in Aries. Saturn does not really like to be in Aries because it's a planet that deals with structure, stability, and predictability, for an example, while Aries breaks down structure and brings unpredictability. But at the end of the day, it's kind of healthy for us because it brings the opportunity for immense change in routine, networking, and association, allowing for a shift, and really big ones at sometimes, of the whole meaning of what it means to be stable, to be realistic, to be supportive, to be a part of the world and a part of society. And also, it can bring change to how people react and respond to the world in general, to big organizations, big groups of people, and worldwide or in big geographical locations, specific limits, boundaries, laws, and organizations. And it can change how the world or big parts of it, how they think what it means to be real, structured, and socially accepted means. In this case, this alignment can bring new extreme actions, visions, and expression to routine, stability, and business, or it can bring new limits, boundaries, and new support systems to yours and others' desires, personality, personal interests, and personal insecurities. So, also, you and others can be exposed through the Sun in Aries on your instability, unreliability, and in the lack of being realistic or consistent. On the other side, there are chances to bring passion and motivation to new systems, new routines and new association in ways to bring communities together to build a new world and new ways to be safe, stable, and profitable while incorporating spirituality, creativity, uniqueness, individuality, and new feelings. And also, you can bring more attention or new attention to systems that you or others are already working on, or if you're already coming up with a new system, a new way to be stable while being spiritual, it's now a great time to bring more action, more passion, but also more aggressiveness and more frustration from you or others that are paying attention to it or just seeing it, thinking about it. In the end of the day, this can bring rebellious or opposition to structure, authority, governments, big organizations, and very specifically to old or current ways of being stable and real or how to perceive stability and reality. So don't build too many new systems or don't give too much energy, anger, or motivation to fighting old systems and old associations, or fighting something that already exists and focus on building, creating, envisioning new systems and networking about how you want to see and be and have the world around you be that is way more related to your personal interests, personal desires, spirituality, and creativity. This is really important. I'll make a specific video about this because it's not about fighting the government, for an example. It's about creating new systems. And then the government will have no other choice but to participate in the new system like we want it, like I want it, like you want it. If you want something more spiritual, more creative, and more free, if everybody participates in that system, the government has to come and participate with it as well. Fighting the government just gives them more power, more attention, and gives them reasons to fight you back with martial law and lethal force. So don't fight the government directly, physically. Don't go break into stores and break into governmental facilities. And that can happen in some countries, like it happened in Nepal. That can happen. It doesn't mean it will always happen, and it doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. Because then what comes after that? What is the new system based upon? Because sometimes governments fall because they were fought directly, but it will just repeat itself because the foundation is not spiritual or unique or free enough. The foundation will still be like it used to be because that is what it was. So the new leaders will just repeat, maybe in different ways, in different perspectives, but will just repeat the same authoritarian and caring and too controlative, to corrupt government. So first you have to change how it means to be real, what it means to be spiritual, what it means to be rich. Because many people, they criticize the government, they criticize the system, they criticize specific politics, and they don't understand that the system is designed to be like this. The system is designed to make you attached to a specific way to see reality, to feel real, to feel a part of reality. And that way is limiting. That way is too formulaic. That way is too much of a box. And people complain about the system because they think it's a person's fault. They think it's a political party's fault. They think it's a country's fault. They think he's a leader from another country's fault. And it's not. The system is designed to work like that. There is nothing wrong with how the system works. It's designed to be like that. So you have to create and accept new ways to be real, to be supported and supportive, to be on business, to develop limits and boundaries that are more spiritual, more unique, and that care way more about creativity, taking risks, and expansion. Because nowadays, it already has immensely changed because we're going into Aquarius age and Pluto is in Aquarius, so artists are more respected, communities of artists are needed and respected, but still, if you don't go to college, if you don't have a stable job, you're seen as a bad person into reality. While a lot of people that went into college and they have stable jobs, they end up being miserable because they don't have space or energy to be spiritual, to be themselves, to go into their dreams. Recently, I met a lawyer lady that she was shunned away from her family. Her family pushed away from her desire of being a singer. And on her 40s, she became a singer, still a lawyer, but she now is starting to be a singer and she loves it. And she now recognizes the mistake that it was to go for the stable job. Not the stable job in itself, but how the stable job takes you away from spirituality. Because we have a lot of people that they have a stable job and they have a YouTube channel or they have a Twitch channel or they do some musical gigs. That's fine, that's a good balance. But most people don't do that. Most people are limited and boundaried by stable jobs and what it means to be responsible, what it means to be real in the world, and that will change to a degree where people that are too stable, people that don't believe in spirituality and astrology, things like that, they will be not trustworthy because they too old, they too corrupted, they too much like the old government. They didn't take chances, they didn't try to create their dreams on earth. You know what I'm saying? Keep moving on. We have Uranus in Taurus on the cusp going into Gemini. So that is fatal attracting Sun in Aries. So feeling more ready or more closed, depending on if you're positive or negative, about extreme actions, extreme faiths, beliefs, and expressions of spirituality when it comes to new and innovative ways to obtain or maintain security, safety, and privacy, or bringing new ways to be stable and new ways to be practical that are actually aligned to spirituality, feelings, dreams, and illusions. Because Uranus is change, is opposition, it's the co-ruler of Aquarius that sextiles Aries, so there is a chance to actually bring stability and change together. There is a chance to bring innovation and profit together. There is a chance to bring extreme desire and stability together. Then you have Neptune in Aries conjuncting the Sun, so expressing, seeing, or acting in new extreme ways about grand dreams, grand illusions, generational gifts, or generational curses. So make sure to not cast or be attracted to grand promises, dreams, and illusions. That's how politics really get the populations, is by going to certain points that are generational curses or generational wounds, or they know that certain generations, like Mars in Aries, Saturn in Taurus, those generations, they have desires or missions to accomplish or things that they need a bit more. So politics use this Neptune energy to cast this kind of vague but very tangible for people that are of the generation promises and visions. And now with Sun in Aries and Neptune in Aries, it's very easy to entice others, especially on the base of frustration and aggressiveness or rebellious and opposition, to this promise that, oh, this land that we can achieve after we fight, after we bring down this thing. And what needs to be brought down is your old perceptions and your old cages internally. Cardinal fire, internally starting new fires and new visions, not externally, not cardinal air, not cardinal earth, cardinal fire. So change, build something new, don't fight the old. That's, bro, that's so important, all right? Last and not least, Pluto in Aquarius, sextiling Sun in Aries, an opportunity to create new confidence, new spiritual, and new egotistical on the right side ways, or negatively creating new insecurities, new self limits, self fighting, or new egotistical ways on the negative side to see or express or to just act on the transformation process that the world is going through to become more Aquarian like. Pluto in Aquarius means transformation, that transformation process, resolving power and control issues, healing traumas, building something new, not just from the depths of the foundation, but building new terrain, building new elements, new atoms, metaphorically speaking, or literally speaking. Iron Man movie, he built a new element, you know what I'm saying? But building new societal structures to allow unique groups, unique mentalities, unique communities that are humanitarian and care more about progress. Still caring about what the old system did: structure, stability, safety, and security, and then use that not just for the sake of it. That's why a lot of people in power are corrupt and little demons, because they don't go further than that. They don't go further than the structure, than the money, than the power. So they go to hell because they didn't go further. They must go back and go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into what they already had. That's hell. So with now Pluto in Aquarius, we can take what Capricorn built, the structure, the system, even the controlling mechanisms, and then use that for social expansion and humanitarian progress. And with Sun in Aries, we have more opportunities to see that in new ways, in more passionate, aggressive, or frustrated ways, or on the other side, have more responsible, more humane, and collective transformations or causes to fight against, to fight for, or to build something new for. And the whole dream of Pluto is a more unique society with more communities, with more local representation on political and diplomatic levels, and more communal, but still unique, new, fresh, and communicative changes, and bringing up smaller but more powerful and more personal communities. So we can bring that sense of responsibility about progress, about freedom and humanitarianism to ours and others' new and intense, passionate or aggressive, creative and also spiritual actions, expression, visions, and sense of pride, ego, or insecurity. Thank you for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this Sun in Aries. If you want to get some readings for personal conclusions, contact me using the links down below or on Instagram or email. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, a whole bunch of individuality, creativity, and responsibility as well. Believe in yourself and in all possibilities. Create new visions, new actions, and new systems that are related to your personality, personal insecurities, personal interests, and spiritual belief system. Till the next one, I wish you the best as a Terry Cloud Surfer, surfing out. Stay on your mission. Let's get it.